In this video, I'll show you how to create your own ERP system from scratch and publish the result online. We'll do the job done in less than 1 hour while others take weeks. We'll create the same ERP that you can find as references for this video. The example will contain the entities necessary to register and calculate stocks for SKU in the company's warehouses. We will make catalogs and documents, register and view with which we can see the current stock in warehouses. I'll show you how to use the typescript constructor. Together we'll create a database structure and some custom forms. We'll add the permission check and filling check for all tables. We'll implement the filling of the aggregate register for documents. A custom SQL view to calculate SKU stock. We'll write the source code for simple and complex operations. Initial population of the database with demo data and operation of filling warehouse audit documents. The demo includes only a small part of all the features of the platform. However, I hope that my main goals will be achieved. You will be able to evaluate how fast the development of ERP systems can be, and the typescript platform is capable of building a complex ERP system. Where should we start? We follow the link constructor, typescript.com/new. In this case, the platform will suggest a unique name for your site. But there is another way. You can directly specify the site name. In addition, do not forget to log in to the site. You do not need to provide any passwords. Let's create an ERP demo website. The first thing we should choose is a template for the new site. In the future, it is planned to develop many templates for various kinds of clients. But for now we are interested in developing a configuration from scratch, and we will use the empty template. Let's select empty. For empty, templates automatically will be created only a few system entities such as user access group, user, system constants. I'll explain about the purpose of these entities later. We remember that our task is to create a custom ERP, and we have already decided on the list of entity tables. Let's create catalogs and tables. I will not explain in detail each step at this stage. You can see for yourself how easy and fast it is to build a database structure, how standard attributes are configured, custom fields and nested data tables are added. If you notice, the presentation template here by default is different versus catalogs. Presentation template defines how to construct server-side and client-side toString methods for table records, objects and refs. By default for catalogs this is just a field description. For documents, combination of singular synonym, code with prefix space, string, dated, and field date. Here you can find sort priority. In this case it means a list of documents ordered by ref will be ordered first by date and second by code. Singular synonym and prefixes will be ignored. They are the same for all records. Now it's time to deploy our database to the cloud. Let's do it. Database deployed to typescript.com, ERP demo. By default the authorization mode is owner only. You can change it to manual granting required, email authentication required or anonymous access allowed. For now we'll log in to Runtime with the same email. To see the runtime and the database structure at the same time, you can click on the corresponding tab in the constructor. What can we see? Navigation panel, portal and mainframe. But I don't like how the navigation panel looks. In the real ERP system there are going to be tens or even hundreds of tables. So we need to group our functional by subsystems and convert the navigation list to the tree. Let's create 3 subsystems: documents, catalogs, system, and define subsystems of each entity. Unchecking include in standard interface, we can hide tables from the navigation tree. Subsystems can be nested, so a navigation tree can also have nested structure. Change interface priority order if we want to order runtime in a different order. Deploy, and now it looks better. Fix interface priority order for home. One more feature, we can group or change the order of our elements in the constructor metadata tree. I am moving system catalogs separately to the folder SYS. Let's continue to add attributes and nested tables to our entities. Drag and drop moving and copying of attributes is also available in the metadata tree. For attributes, there is an option to set choice parameters. If you can see, some of the auto-generated forms, especially forms of objects, looks are not perfect. We are going to start to develop custom forms. Just drag and drop form attributes into form items and change any item props. A lot of props have auto value. It means the types or platform automatically suggests value based on type of attribute and context. On the bottom of the screen in the visual editor you can see the result, how it is going to look like in runtime. For dynamic table, in Runtime, types or platform will add standard command add folders, but only for hierarchical entities, edit, mark as delete, refresh and show filter. You can customize these buttons and add your own commands. We'll do it for warehouse audit. The next step, SQL save triggers. First, let's add 2 new custom permissions. Let's create our first trigger permission check, with type error reporting. All available table fields and functions for SQL query are available on the left side of the editor. Here is MySQL language. This language is chosen intentionally as being easier for configuration developers to use. However, if it is necessary to develop enterprise solutions, it can be replaced by another one, Postage SQL. MS SQL etc. Triggers can be copied using drag and drop too. Similarly, let's create a trigger filling check. Here we will use the error template, which will be displayed to the user if the trigger result returns more than one record. We will now create a SKU in stock register with dimensions SKU and warehouse and resource quantity. We will fill in this register while documents save if the posted flag is enabled for the document. Initial filling of the database. I'll try to be brief in this section. We already have a common module on start.mts, system constants entity with attribute config version. Form version update from empty template. So we need to write a source code to fill our entity tables if the config version is not actual. To save time, I'll copy-paste this code and you can open the demo and check the code on your own. In the program source code, the types or context, or TC for short, is already declared. The all entities data structure with all attributes, enums, global commands, metadata and so on is already present in it and matches the current structure of the metadata tree. Await import is also available in modules. In all event listeners, the context of the current form is passed as the first parameter. I will show you how to create event listeners in the form of documents example. The form context contains all strongly typed form attributes accessible via the property, as well as the main attribute like m, all form items as I, and all available commands, parameters, statuses, and so on. All these props can be accessed by clicking Ctrl+space in Windows, after dot, or CMD+I on Mac. Make listener ONAC asynchronous. Define the only cancel parameter for this method. In case of error, show alert. Error can happen here because of no permission for exempli. Next, define some temporal arrays and helper functions. Server side provides fake API data for random fill up. Few blocks of code is the loops of TypeScript code which creates, populates with fake data and awaits while saving new configuration objects. Between loops here will be a show alert with no buttons to indicate progress. Let's change config version and deploy our initial filling code. Our code fills the database with fake data. Check it out. It's time to create a custom view to see the current SKU stock. Custom view is an SQL query that can have parameters and fields, as well as inherit fields from the main table. In our case, we will create a view based on the SKU table left joined to the main registry SKU in stock. In this case, the query is not the most optimal, but later it will be possible to use the tables of balances and turnovers for registers. Custom view can be used as a query source in the source code and as a data source in dynamic lists. Let's create a new form in which we will display the current balances for the selected warehouse, and place this form in the interface. If the SQL query contains errors, these errors will be displayed during an attempt to retrieve data from the server. Yes, we forgot to specify the view fields. Now we will fix this and re-execute deploy. Go runtime and check stocks for a few warehouses. Negative stocks are simply the result of our fake data. In the real ERP, we can add a trigger to prohibit the write-off of SKU in the negative. Do you remember we decided to use warehouse code as a prefix for warehouse documents? But how to do it? On change warehouse, we need to fill code prefix from code of warehouse. Let's dive into the TypeScript again. Form and form items have events. We need to define an onChange event for the warehouse form field. If you click on onChange, Tipser platform creates an event listener. And all you need to achieve the result is just to add a single line of code. But how the text editor knows about warehouse? What form context and Tipser context is? Tipser context, or TC for short, is the root runtime object which contains references to all Tipser functionality. By typing tc dot and press Ctrl plus space, you'll see all available functionality. Here you can find all existing entity managers, enumerates, forms, metadata, SQL tables, root methods like OpenForm, etc. Text editor here is Microsoft Monaco editor, then you go to the editor. Tipser creates type definitions for all metadata structures and passes it to the editor. In addition to the context, there are interfaces created for refs and objects which contain typed object attributes. The same happens for form context. Each time then you change form attributes or form items, Tipser constructor generate new form type definition as this form. And this TypeScript interface contains current form attributes and items. The typeser has an amazing O.R.M for front end. So, let's do coding. We'll click on the button, action, of the fill quantity plan command. This created method should be asynchronous. We also need the SQL tables and the query for list method from the typeser context. Query for list arguments are related to the first argument, table. So you can only choose the source of fields. Parameters, filters and order fields from the list of table fields or subfields. Subfields means what platform automatically adds a left join if you use dot with any reference types. Module editor allows you to choose only accessible fields from chosen refs after dot. To solve our problem, we need to use the SkuView view as a data source. Fill in the warehouse parameter from the main form data, set the filter in order. After executing the query, fill in the rows with the received data. Such a small piece of code solved our task. Go to the runtime and look at the result. Our fill quantity plan works as we expected. Congratulations! We finished our demo.